Hello everybody, and welcome to the latest video. This is all about Orikan, the new Orikan model Games Workshop very kindly sent out to me to review for you, and I thought I would do it slightly differently. I thought I'd do this review slightly differently because we are going to modify him. The model himself, it's not like I'm a little bit disappointed with him, but I am a little bit disappointed with him. He's a really nice model. Like any new Necron model, I'm always going to be hyping for. He's got an amazing staff. He's got a really cool tail, as you can see. I'm just snipping out the tail there now. In the lore, he was always a little bit kind of weird and kooky, but in the rules, obviously, he kind of like powered up. And in previous rules, like you would have an empowered version and a regular version, and you would like power him up halfway through the game or whatever. Now he's got a slightly different, like he just kind of goes mental once a game. But I still kind of wished he was slightly more of a Cesares style upgrade, where he was just a little bit more different and varied from the original sculpt. Either him or Imhotep. Like I wanted one of them to be a little bit more crazy cool. But anyway, what we're doing, we're snipping out all the parts. The parts are stunning, like the usual Games Workshop. Fantastic clarity to it, great detail. I do like the little cube. I'm not entirely sure why Orikan has a cube, but I ended up not using that cube, so I've got it for use on some conversions in the future. So yes, I thought I would do a slightly different video for this one, where I'd just kind of, rather than introduce the kit, I thought I'd just kind of get stuck straight in with the conversion and talk you through what I'm going to be working on. So the idea was that I just wanted to, I kind of liked the pose. The pose was really cool. It is a little bit larger of a model. The scale is a bit bigger. He's a bit more bulky, and he's obviously like a really old grumpy Cryptek, which kind of fits his sculpt as well. Looks really good. So the idea that I had, looking at the tail, it looked very similar to the Void Dragon tail. And now the Void Dragon, I've made 3 Void Dragons, and none of the Void Dragons I've made I've actually put the tail on. So I have 3 of the Void Dragon tails, like spare sort of thing, for use for certain things. And I wanted to make, for instance, I wanted to make like a new Ophidian destroyer, or a kind of a powered up Ophidian destroyer with one of the tails on and things like that. So I've got one of the tails, so I wanted to try and see if I could kind of splice the Void Dragon tail in and just make him a little bit bigger, a bit more imposing. I thought that would be a really cool thing to do. I also wanted to drop his weapon down a little bit, because he's got, so this this Necron model has the current Warhammer 40,000 sculpting issue of having both hands up in the air, as if you don't care kind of thing. So it's one of those odd ones, and I don't particularly like the pose. The biggest model that had that issue for me was the Avatar, and I do have a second Avatar to build up for my Eldar, so I might do a quick video about reposing him as well. But one of the things that I wanted to do was drop the staff down, so drop the angles of the staff down a little bit. So I will do that in this video. And then also the cube, like I kind of like the cube, but I kind of don't like the cube, so I wanted to give him a little bit more of a angry weapon on his cube hand, on his right hand. So we're going to swap it out for a flayed one claw, and then the pose just kind of enticing, hand outstretched. We're going to kind of get that pose in. So the claw is going to be on the left hand. Now the staff is really simple to do. You can cut it off and then just kind of clean up the cut, manipulate and remove all the parts of the cut so that it still has the bolt, if you like, from the arm. The arm then just fits on there. The arm is actually a arm from, I think the arm is from a Immortal, so it's just an Immortal arm, and then just adding a little bit of glue to the 2 contact points. I tried to make sure that it had 2 contact points because I didn't want it to just have 1 contact point. The glue that I use is very good, despite the fact that it's just fallen off. The glue that I use is very good, but I do like having like an extra an extra contact point just to kind of hold that staff on, because it is very, very long. But I think you will hopefully agree that the pose on the staff being a little bit lower just looks super cool straight away, and helps change the little dynamic of the model a little bit. Like not everybody has to have the staff holding up and the hand holding up and like all the time. I think this looks really cool. And then this was the big thing for me, trying to get that tail from the Void Dragon somehow on here. Now the Void Dragon tail, as you can see, it's got half the vertebrae, if you like. It's got half the vertebrae halved off, so that it makes a good join. So the plan was, what I was going to do was just remove half of the vertebrae, or half the width of the vertebrae on Orikan's tail, so that it would meet up. I did cut off half of the blades at the end, as you just saw. I just thought one would look really cooler. I just thought one would look cooler. I didn't think it needed the two. Just kind of slim it down, slender it down a little bit. So one of the things that that I wanted to do, we need to cut these two bits off here, because this is going to fit into the part there, and that side already has the kind of the drops of the vertebrae down there. So I marked off halfway on Orikan's tail with a knife. You would have seen me just kind of score a little mark halfway down the width of the tail, and now all I'm doing is I'm taking slivers. I don't want to try and take off too much, because as soon as you try and take off too much, you're going to be pushing very hard, and when you push really hard with a knife, that's when like accidents can happen. So I'm always trying to be very self-aware about using the knife. You can notice my fingers are very kind of locked together. So if I do slip, the knife isn't going anywhere because the fingers are stopping it moving. So we're just trimming that side there until we can get it nice and halfway, so it's a good fit. And just trimming off a little bit more of that vertebrae so it fits underneath the little lip, and yeah, just kind of going back and forth, trimming more and more of that halfway so that it fits absolutely perfectly. And then we can glue it on. So that's all trimmed back now, and you can see that it's a pretty good fit. And using some of my glue again. If you do want to use some of my glue, I don't have an affiliate link for it, but I do have a link for the glue. So if you do want to use this glue that I use, it's called Mechback, and it's available in the UK. If you are in America or somewhere, you can get a kind of a slightly less aggressive version of it. It's called Plastic Weld, and you can get it on Amazon occasionally. It's kind of similar to the Tamiya Ultra Thin, but it's a bit more aggressive, and it evaporates a little bit quicker as well. So it takes a little while to get used to, because it does evaporate. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it is very, very good. So this is the flayed one claw, which is already assembled. I made some flayed ones with sword blade arms, so they had one claw and then one sword blade arm. That was inspired from actually a misremembering of a piece of artwork from the Necron Codex. So I've got loads of these little flayed one claws left. I've got like 45 flayed ones, it's ridiculous. So I've got loads of these little flayed one claws left in a little box, so that whenever I wanted to do an overlord with a cool hand, I had a flayed one hand to make use of it. And just manipulating it around. This is a Technomancer arm that I just cut the hand off. It's absolutely fine, and yeah, it fits on quite well. I just straightened it out a little bit, and then there is the new Orikan pose. It works really, really well, and just glue that on, and he fits in there, and just kind of completes the pose. In terms of like the direction and everything, I was tempted to do a torso twist on this, but like his cloak just makes it a little bit too impossible to do that. So I just kind of left it at this, and left it at that arm and this pose looking out that way. And then obviously the last thing to do is just to glue the head on. And there we go, a new reposed Orikan. Here we go, Orikan well, it's a slightly tweaked Orikan. I've swapped a few things around. I've given him a claw. I've reposed, as you saw, reposed the staff, and he's got a whole new tail. Because like he's supposed to power up and get really angry, and I just thought he was a little lackluster. And maybe at some point in the future I will kind of revisit this and kind of do a kind of a Cesares kind of glow up, and kind of bulk him up a little bit in that way. But I decided just to try and keep it a little bit closer to the current sculpt. So yeah, we've got the staff is really cool. I do really like the staff. The one thing that I'm not a big fan of at the moment is the two hands up thing. So the pose on this was here we go. The pose on this is like one hand up or the other hand up. I'm not. It doesn't seem to. I don't like the kind of the balance of that. So we've dropped one hand, and I've swapped over to a claw rather than the. It's a really cool little cube that's pixelating out. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I'll have to read some more Orikan lore to try and remember what this is, because it's not Trazin, so it's not his labyrinth or anything, Tesseract. But yeah, I've given him a claw. That's just a claw straight from a flayed one that we've spliced onto a normal Necron hand, turned it around so he's a bit more balanced and posed up in his position. Like I say, the staff is pointing downwards, and then the other half of the tail, which actually matches the tail really well, is actually the Void Dragon tail. Now, when I built my Void Dragons, I didn't like them with a tail, so I took the tails off. I've built and painted 3 of them, but yeah, so I've taken the tail off, and that's the original tail. As you can see, it's just a little bit shorter, but yeah, so this one has now got a proper full-on tail. It looks a little bit more angry and probably a bit more suitable for well, Mr. Angry Orikan the Diviner or Diviner. And but yeah, there we go. So he's currently just kind of tacked onto the base. I use a Vallejo texture paste for the base, so I need to prime him before I glue him on, because I don't want to get any primer on the texture paste, because I use the colour for that for the bases for the Necrons. But yeah, there we go. He is cool. I love that angle. That angle is amazing. He looks big and bulky from that angle. It's just that when you come around, it kind of gets lost. I don't know what it is. I wanted to try and do something with his legs as well. I was wondering whether to get some more kind of tentacle tails, almost like the Ophidian Destroyers, sort of like that, and have like 3 tails coming down from Ophidian Destroyers rather than his legs. But again, that might be something that I address and approach at a time in the future. But until then, this is my Orikan. I like him. I like the repos. I'm always trying to kind of get these staffs in slightly more interesting positions, particularly with the Necrons. Games Workshop seems to like doing the Necrons with the staff just kind of standing upright. So it's always nice to kind of get this, and this should be really nice as well, because we can do a little bit of OS. Get my teeth in and words out. We can do a little bit of OSL coming on and catching some of these areas down here with a glowing orb in the centre. So that would be really nice. A little bit of detail and interest down at the bottom side. And then we can keep the focus hopefully up around his head. His head is really nice. It is a really nice sculpt. It's as you'd expect from Games Workshop. It's very crisp. It's very clean. All the details on the mould and the cast and everything. Yeah, it's fantastic. So I do like it. Next video, we're going to paint him up. Yeah, baby. Yeah, we're going to paint him up. He's going to be painted up to match the rest of all my Necrons. For those of you who don't know, my Necrons are all blue. And there we go, there's attack. The attack is just dying out now. So all my Necrons are blue, you can see from the Void Dragon here. So they're all blue with this kind of eerie green. So we're going to do that on to Orikan. We'll see if we can pull in some different colours. We'll probably make the staff a little bit more red or something. Introduce a different colour for the staff. But yeah, Orikan the Diviner. Really nice. Let me know in the comments down below if you're going to pick this model up. And I look forward to seeing if anybody kind of tries to emulate and use this as inspiration for the repos as well. Please tag me if you do repos it. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Frossin. Dead easy to find. And you can find me on Twitch and Patreon as well. That's twitch.tv/Chris Frossin. Come and say hello. I'm streaming most days of the week. I'm going to put this down now before he starts falling apart anymore. And yeah, thank you very much. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for being bosses. Make sure you drop a like and a subscribe. That helps me a lot. And yes, please drop a comment down below. And I will see you in the next video. Necrons. Yes! The Silent King. Fantastic. Thanks guys. See you in a bit.